All right. Good afternoon, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. We are live with Ann Lopez. So I'm Matt Quick with HireMilitary, the Director of Training and Programs. And we're here live with Ann Lopez today. She's a military spouse, a Navy military spouse. So anchors away, or whatever you guys say with that. So I know Chris Dorner, my buddy there, he's a big Navy guy. So I'm Army background. So he'll appreciate the first one we do here with military spouses is a Navy
Go
spouse.
Navy.
Don't be Army, no. So today we're starting a small thing. So ever since October, I've posted weekly, sometimes daily, on military spouses' resumes on LinkedIn. So now we're going to move this to more of a LinkedIn live session to get more exposure, to show people just who we're showing or exposing the resumes of, and they can just answer your questions. They can talk about themselves. They can talk directly to employers. But with the military spouse space, military spouses have a 24% unemployment rate. That's pretty high. Even during COVID, it's high. And on top of that, 31% of those are really underemployed. That means they have jobs that are, let's say, part-time jobs, or they want to work full-time or work with their degree. So today we're bringing on Ann to talk about her experiences, what she's going through now, how COVID is affecting her, and really just talk about yourself. And so, Ann, why don't you introduce yourself and talk about yourself?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Matt, for making this space for me to get on here and share a little bit about myself, and for all that you do every week sharing military spouse resume. We really appreciate it. Me speaking on behalf of the military spouse community, I'm sure a lot of people have different other valuable insights to share as well. But for me, I have been military spouse for 9 years. My background is in education, so I'm a certified elementary school teacher. And then, which brings to point the struggle of having to get certification in each different state that we've been in. So for the past 9 years, I've been to 5 different states. And so with each state, I have to kind of reinstate my license so that I can teach in that particular state. So that's always been a struggle, especially as a military spouse. There's fees that goes with it, and then there's different regulation with each state that you have to kind of meet. That's all to say that it leads me to want to pursue a career that's more adaptable and more portable. So my recent position is as a project associate for an edtech organization. And one of the main things that really attracted me to that position is the fact that I can do it remotely.
That's important today, right?
Yes, it's important today, especially, of course, this is prior to me knowing what this pandemic is going to hit. But I even when I was job searching, I was really leaning towards working in a remote environment, just because it fits our unique lifestyle better.
True.
And so, I was fortunate and I was lucky to land at my current position. Unfortunate in the sense that pandemic hit, and there was a budget issue and funding issue, which I was told recently that my position I would be laid off. Which is why I kind of reach out to you and hoping that I can give more insights on hey, how can I improve my job search method and make connection on LinkedIn and kind of get myself out there a little bit more, with all this craziness that's happening right now.
You're doing the right things by reaching out to people. I know that, listen, the pandemic is affecting just about everybody these days, and no one's safe from it. Whether you're safe in your house, you lose your job. I mean, we're all fighting something. So I'm glad you're on today, and we can talk about it though. So about your background. So you mentioned that licenses aren't transferable, correct?
Well, it depends on the state that you go to. So there is a reciprocal agreement that happens from state to state.
Okay.
So I was licensed in New York, and then when I went to Maryland, it kind of transferred over easily, but you do have to pay fees for that. And then from Maryland to North Carolina, that's a different, regulation and process. True. And then from North Carolina, we went to Texas. So Texas is a little bit strict. They would require you to take a certain course or certain tests again, even though you have fulfilled all the requirements. And I know that it's similar case with other licensing as well. I've heard a military spouse that was a lawyer. They have to kind of, do their licensing again.
Mm-hmm.
Nurses, social worker. So we're all facing the similar issue. And then a lot of us just ended up going a different career route just because we don't want to have to deal with this from one state to another for a couple of years.
So I know there's legislative talked about by getting the licenses online, or some of the where states can say, you know what, we can transfer licenses a lot easier, less fees. I'm sure there are programs out there, and now you're going to have me research things, so I've got a homework to do now. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I definitely do. So what do you want to do next for a career? So I know you want to be remote because it's the way it seems to be going, but what do you want to do specifically? Talk about that real fast.
So specifically, my long-term career goal is to move into the technology field.
Mm-hmm.
I recently started doing some self-taught coding just to get myself up to par with the technology aspect of my work. I realized that I'm doing a lot of project management, operation things right now. Okay. But being able to kind of translate over a little bit of those technical aspect into my current role would be super helpful for all the customers that I have a relationship with. But ultimately, I would like to be in a position where I can operate both of the technical and operation side mm-hmm. of things, creating a greater impact. So I was talking to you earlier, I would like to be with a company organization that can create social impact. So I'm looking into nonprofit or, working with ed tech companies and things like that. So staying in that field, but, moving myself closer to more of a technical aspect versus program and operation management.
Okay. So are you looking for career growth at all?
Definitely. Hoping to eventually become a site reliability engineer, SRE, which is a term that Google kind of, coined.
Okay.
But what it is basically the middle person between operations and engineers. You are the liaison between the two fields. But ultimately, I would like to, that's my big goal because it takes a lot to get there to become an engineer. But yeah, definitely looking for a place where I can continue to grow. Even better if that company organization can support my growth. But I'm someone that's constantly looking to learn and expand. So I would not want to be in a position where I'm just stagnant and not having that opportunity.
That makes sense. So what are the current challenges that you're facing as a military spouse to find employment? Not just during the pandemic, but before that, what are some challenges that you're facing and how are you overcoming them?
So one of the challenges I've faced is looking at my resume from an employer perspective. You would see that I'm one of those people that looks like she's only been here for a couple of years or a couple of months. So there's that employment gap or that question of how come she is switching, companies so many times or switching her role so many times. So that without being able to kind of explain myself or where I come from, I've already been left back on that pile where we're not qualified. So that's the biggest challenge that I'm unable to kind of overcome just because I can't control what employer or recruiter,
True.
But so one of the things that I'm doing right now is being active on LinkedIn, making connection and building my network. Because I feel like if you give me a chance to talk to you, you'll get to know me better and I can explain myself better.
And that's why you're here today, right?
Exactly. You giving me that opportunity to share about why did I go from here to here to here and having so many gaps in my resume. And then now you can come to see that, that's because she was a military spouse. That being said, not all employers are very understandable with that. Not that it's not that it's an excuse for us to move from so many positions, but it's important to be understandable and be knowledgeable about the military spouse community and military community in general.
That's true.
But like I said, unfortunately, not a lot of employers understand that. So
I know HireMilitary, this whole space, Chris Thorne especially, is really getting with employers to help them understand just how vital military spouses can be because they bring so much. And just to I was talking with Rita Lung a few months ago, and she had a great 12-day, I guess, exposure of what the military is about, and she talked about their resiliency, they're versatile, flexible, innovative, natural networkers. That's what you are. Humility, and you can make things happen where a lot of other people just don't because you adapt so well to just about anything. I'm not sure how many moves you had in the military, but we've had quite a few, probably a dozen in our military time, and the things that my wife can do, that spouses can do for their military members are just incredible. I'm not sure if it's just making dinner in a hotel room out of scratch. It just
Right.
some things are so the things you can do is phenomenal. So what are maybe three things that you can bring to the table as a military spouse or as Anne to an employer right now?
I think you're definitely touched on a couple of them already. So, we're highly adaptable. We can make things happen just out of thin air, you can say.
Yes.
Sometimes when your household good didn't get here on time, like, where are you going to sleep? Well, find something to sleep on and things like that. We're also highly flexible in the sense that, I'm applying for this position, but
Mm-hmm.
I get this position instead. So what can I do with it? Hey, I can make it happen. I can make it grow, and I can make learning more relevant to myself and things like that. So we're flexible in any things that we do, just because we have to it sometimes.
Yes.
And then I think finally the third point is resilience that you touch on. I can't even begin to tell you how many jobs applications I put in, or how many times that people have said no to me. But you know what? At the end of the day, life goes on, and you have to move on and make the most out of it. So, being a military spouse has definitely strengthened all those skills for me.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, it was being a teacher. So I was trained to be adaptable, be flexible. So being a military spouse plus being a teacher has a good combination to kind of shape me who I am today. I'm thankful for that.
Good.
But yeah.
I'll tell you, teachers nowadays, I've got a few friends that are teachers, and what they're doing now is just amazing. They're not only raising their families at home, but they're setting aside time every day to teach some of their kids because
Right.
this is right now is a new normal. We'll get back to where we were, but right now it's really challenging. But are you right now in the teaching space where you educate kids as well?
Well, I was a former teacher, but so with my current role, I don't have to kind of be with any
That's a
students.
balancing act.
But let me tell you, trying to educate your own children at home is a whole different story than you try to educate someone else's children. So I think I've had my hands full with my little one at home too. So I
I think
definitely
we
have
all these
to,
days.
yeah, I definitely have to give a shout out to all the teachers out there. They're amazing. My son's teacher has been amazing. They
They
went
really
from
are.
traditional classroom to like all of a sudden overnight trying to be a remote teacher and remote learning. So
Talk about
again,
adaptability right there, right?
adaptability, flexibility. There you go.
Yeah, at one space you have all their attention. Now, once they're at home, you have no attention. There's no attention span whatsoever. So it
Right.
can be fun. So if there was one thing that you can tell an employer, listen, we do this right here. We do LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, just because you can get exposure and really feel comfortable talking with somebody because we know how difficult it is to sit in front of a one-on-one person or a panel and discuss why they should hire you. So now in a relaxed atmosphere from your home, maybe in a closet, I'm not sure where you're at, but uh, speak to an employer right now. Why should someone hire Anne, and what could you bring? What value could you bring to their team?
So if I was talking to an employer, I would definitely want to highlight the ability I have in developing genuine, authentic relationships with, everything that I do with everyone that I meet. I think that just comes from my background as a teacher and my upbringing as an immigrant, first generation college graduate. I come from a low income family myself. So, all of those experiences have helped me to realize that throughout my career and throughout my work experience, one thing that I find lacking is the ability to have really meaningful relationship with people.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what kind of business you're in, no matter what role you're in, I find that having that relationship with people is really what sets you apart from everyone else that people meet.
Yes.
All the duty stations I've been in, I've been very lucky to have continuous relationship with people that I've met in each duty station. Like to these days, I still keep in contact with many of them. Um, so it's hard, especially as a military spouse, to try and develop that kind of relationship because you're only there for a couple of years.
Okay.
So it's really something that I'm passionate about. So for any potential employer, I really hope that if that is something that you really cherish and something that you're really passionate about, then I'll definitely be like to be a part of that company. Not only that, but also I'm a lifelong learner, so I would like to be able to contribute to a team that is also looking to expand and learn at all times.
Okay.
So, overall, just I guess my elevator pitch is like if you want someone that's like, be genuine and authentic in developing relationship with your colleagues or your clients or anyone, definitely reach out to me. And if it's not even a job opportunity, I would love to expand my network. Like I said, I'm, trying to do that through LinkedIn. With this pandemic happening, you can't really get
Yes.
close to people. If you want a quick chat, you're stuck at home with kids and you want to talk to an adult, talk to me. I'm open to it.
She's available.
I'm available to just chat anything that's on your mind. We're going through a crisis right now, Matt, believe it or not. And,
Yes.
so there's different way to cope with it. And one way that I would like for me to offer as a way for people to cope with is just to talk to someone. It can make a lot of difference,
And it
especially
does.
during this time.
I'm on the phone for a few hours a day, just talking to different people about military transition, military spouses, just a simple discussion about life insurance or SBP. Those things, they mean a lot. So moving conversations from LinkedIn, which is a phenomenal platform for professional people looking for just to connect. It's a great thing. But there's so many opportunities, and of course, this is kind of like working out or dieting. You can't just do it one time and that's it. This is going to be a sustained networking advantage for you or anyone else on LinkedIn that's trying to get into an area. It's you may not see the gains or the fat loss, whatever it is, immediately, but it will pay off in the end. Your health gets better, whatever it is. If you diet or you go to the gym, but just think about networking like that. It's not an overnight success. So what advice would you give someone in your situation? Let's say a younger military spouse coming into this now new space of military spouses, because moving every few years isn't going to be easy. But if they're willing to do what, can you provide information to?
So interestingly enough, Blue Star Family, which is an organization that I'm very happy that I was able to volunteer and be a part of, they did a survey that kind of pointed out some of the challenges that military spouse or military community have faced. And then one of the things that pointed out was the fact that we don't feel a sense of belonging to a community. There's always been a gap there. So no matter how many duty stations I've been at, I always struggle to reach out to someone and connect and build that relationship with them, which is why I want to get better at it, which is why it's something I'm passionate about. And I feel like if you are a young military spouse, make that leap and try to connect in any way that you can with another military spouse or even your neighbor down the road. It's so important. And it, like you said, it really helps with your mental health. Of course, now with the pandemic, you probably need to connect, via LinkedIn,
More
like
often,
you said.
yes.
But again, it goes back to developing and having that connection with someone or even with, your family or whatever the case may be. One of the challenges as a parent is when I go sign up my kid for childcare, there's often like put down 2 emergency contacts, and it has to be someone local. And that's always a joke that we put in the military spouse group. Like, if you need me as emergency contact for your child's daycare, put me down, even though I've never met you before.
Exactly.
So it's things like that. We joke around with it, but obviously it's a big issue for military spouse community or military community in general. Not a lot of people can understand it, so we understand it because we've experienced it.
Now, if we can get the information out to employers, to the nation on how we can impact them, add value, we're working on it. It's not an easy
Right.
process, but it's a huge U.S., so we're going to get there eventually. All right, so we're going to do this, not with Ann, but if she wants to come back, she's more willing to. So we're going to do this every Wednesday. Time is depending on whenever the military spouse is available. I can do it mornings, afternoon, but we'll do this for the foreseeable future. And after this, I will post Ann's resume and some kind words about her because we had a discussion already. So she's a good person. I'll post some kind words about her on my LinkedIn profile. You can find that at Matt Quick. And we're using a couple of hashtags here. The most popular one is probably hashtag HireMilitary Spouses. We also have Military Spouse Moment. This is the moment right now that we provide military spouses to get exposure, just to talk about whatever they have to talk about, and hopefully someone will notice them and say, you know what, you're a genuine person. I want you on my team. So that's a big thing. So Ann, where can people find you on LinkedIn?
They can find me. My LinkedIn URL is just Ann-Lopez.
Okay.
So it's try to make it easier to find. But
It will be,
you
yes.
know, I'm part of your connection as well. So you know, you can find me through Matt Quick's connection too.
Well, I will mention you in the post to get you some more exposure. Throw your resume out there, which is actually a pretty good resume.
Thank you.
It's a good layout. Her photo's not on there, but it's a good layout with her skills, just her education, her licenses. It's a good one pager. So I'll get that out there within a half hour. And any last words last words of wisdom for everybody?
You know, stay strong. We can get through this. We're in it together, right?
We are, yes.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm still open to anyone that's willing to just have a quick chat with me. Whatever's on your mind, I'm open to it, just as long as like appropriate, not rated anything.
Yes,
but,
professionally, yes.
LinkedIn is a professional platform, people, you know.
Absolutely, yes.
But yeah, I appreciate the time, Matt. We can continue networking and expanding our connection on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. So yes, we're in it together, but apart. So
Right.
with that being said, we'll end the broadcast. If you can hang on for a couple more minutes, Ann,
Yep.
we'll talk more. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Matt.